10 things you don't know about me tag, which the SoCal from Germany is doing. All right, first was I'm first generation born here in the States. My parents and all before them were born in Puerto Rico, but I was born here, first generation. I was born in New York. I was raised working middle class, which is to say I wasn't poor and I wasn't rich. We had our own home and whatnot. I grew up feeling unloved. I guess it was just the way things were done that way. They could be strict authoritarians. A lot of I guess, the way they raised their kids in Puerto Rico, very strict, very authoritarian. So I didn't feel the love except from my grandmother. And as a result, I ran away from home at 16 and got married at 16. Had my first child when I was 17. And I didn't get married because I was pregnant. As a matter of fact, I have a hard time getting pregnant. I really have a hard time getting pregnant. About a year later, I got pregnant and then had my child at 17, right before I moved to Hawaii. My daughter's father joined the military, Marine Corps, and we were shipped or stationed in Hawaii. I would have liked for her to have been born in Hawaii, but that's another thing. Her father was adulterous, and he was abusive in every way, abused me physically, emotionally, mentally. So he didn't send for me because he had a girlfriend, which I found out later. So I lived in Hawaii, and I dealt with that for about 4 years, and thank God Hawaii is like a no-fault divorce state. For $300, we had no property. Since he was in the military, I got full custody, and that was that. I got divorced, came back to the States. I used to get picked on a lot when I was a teenager. When I was a child into my teenagers, and I think as a result, or maybe it's just they say Latinas have a hot temper. But like I said, I'm a paradox. I can be as sweet as pie, but I do have a bad temper. It's something that I've learned to control and still haven't mastered. But I'm also a fighter, and I fight for what I believe is right. And I went to church, met a Christian man, got married, had my other 2 children. And I was in church. I was in Catholic church growing up, and then Protestant church after I got married. And I'm a fighter, and I fight for what I believe in. And I've suffered a lot because of just the way people think in church. And being here in the South, away from everything, I've learned a lot. I've changed a lot. The things that I learned when I was in whether Catholic or Protestant church, I just learned to be more open-minded and not believe everything that everyone tells you, every pastor or priest tells you, but to look it up for myself, find out for myself. So I changed a lot. And the reason I had stopped going to church for a good 2 to 3 years was because of the hurts of pastors who think that they own you. They try to force you to do things you don't want to do within the church. I'm not saying in a sexual way or anything, but force you to do things that you don't want to do. And I put up with things until I can't take it anymore, and then I explode. So I left hurt from church in New York. I came here, was hurt really badly, by a crazy pastor over here who, again, was trying to control me, trying to force me to do things that I wasn't ready to do. And so he, verbally attacked me from the pew, and then went to another church for my kids because since I homeschool, I want them to have socialization. And, it's one thing when they do things to you, but my daughter has disabilities, my middle child, and when she became a teenager, she got rejected by all of the teens around her. Christianity is honestly these days is just a name. I don't even like to say I'm Christian because people say they're Christian, whether Catholic or Protestant, and they still act really bad. So these kids really really hurt my daughter because they rejected her. They made her feel stupid and said things to her. And so, because when she became 12, her mind was still more of a child, whereas the other girls were growing up. And, I just told her, well, you can help me while I work with the children. I used to work with 3 and 4 year olds. And after 2 years of her crying herself to sleep, the leader said she couldn't be there with helping me and tried to force her to go back to the youth where she cried for 2 years. And I fought for her. I was like, that's not right. You have to make exceptions for children with disabilities. You can't force them to do things that other kids can't do. She can't fit in there. She can't function there. She's being, emotionally, she's just being torn apart, or whatever you want to call it, just damaged. And she didn't care. She's like, I don't care if she just sits in the hallway and, blah, blah. She can't be in here helping you with the kids. And for the first time in 2 years, she was happy working with the kids, like she found herself. This lady was one of those, black and white, what I say goes type of lady. So I went over her head and kept going over that one's head and that one's head and that one's head, and till it went up to the pastor, and he wouldn't even hear my side and just took their side. They said lies about me. They accused me, saying that my daughter's problems were my fault and not theirs. Just horrible, ugly things. And another thing you remind me is I have kidney stones, and I was in and out of the hospital every year. It was hard, since I moved here, I was in the hospital because I almost hemorrhaged to death. The doctors didn't help me. I almost died. And after that, after they finally gave me the surgery that I needed, it was my kidneys. In and out of the hospital every year with my kidneys. And it just so happened that they had given me medications that, it was like drugs, and so the day that it came for us to meet with the leaders, my brain wasn't functioning because I was all, messed up from the medication, and they just totally tore me up saying lies about me. If I would have been in my right mind, I would have chewed them up and spit them out. And when it comes to my children, I'm a mother bear. So, my daughter almost seriously thought she was going to go into a mental institution. Her disabled mind couldn't handle it. She's got auditory processing delays. Her brain couldn't handle it. And she just flipped. She became paranoid, depressed, anxious. It was horrible. I had to take her to, again, I thought, only demon-possessed people have mental illness. Not true. My baby is not, she's a good girl. She's a good person, and she has no evil in her body at all, and yet she was going to wind up in a mental institution. So I've changed a lot, and I took her into a psychiatrist, and she's on like 3 different medications now to keep her stable. We've tried to wean her off of them, but that's it. I mean, she's had all the testing done. It's not neurological. It's just clinical depression. And, they say the chemicals in your brain get messed up. So that, what happened with the church, triggered it. And, my middle girl has to be on medication. And I didn't go to church for 2 years. I didn't believe in Christianity. I was angry at God. But, I learned a lot. It's not God's fault that people act stupid. Christian or not, it's not God's fault that people act stupid. So it just took me a while to go back, and my daughter went goth, and I learned, again, acceptance. Goth does not mean witches or demon. Goth just means you're different, and you want to be accepted even though you're different. And that's what my daughter did. And we started visiting this small church that just opened up. It was laid back. You don't have to dress up or anything. It was like, that's what caught my attention. Come just as you are. And they accepted my daughter, they accepted me, and so, I guess those are the 10 things I just wanted to talk about. It just took me a while, and, thank God I found a place that was, nice and accepting. So, and it's just small, informal place, maybe 10 people just go there to just, hear about God and fellowship with one another. And, so, and that's what I'm doing now. And as a result, I think all the things I learned growing up in Catholic church, what I learned, 20 years in the Protestant church, all of that just, and I've learned to be accepting and to love. And So yeah, so I guess those are the 10 things you don't know about me. So yeah. So I think that's it for now. Guatemalan Hot Mama is holding a contest. Somebody hacked her channel and deleted and blocked 1,000 of her subscribers. She had like 5,000. She's doing a contest, and I believe it's extended till the end of this month. Lots of good prizes. So I guess that's it for now, and I love to you all. The next look's gonna be wearable, bright yet wearable, and my next review is gonna be on tailor-made minerals, and then after that, I'm gonna show you all the stuff I got from Holland from Cryolin. Okay, so lots of love. Bye.